an honor to be back, you guys. Welcome, everybody, to the What's on Your Mind podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Brinson. Now, look, I'm a big Corey Kenshin fan, and sometimes in the past, I would call him out for being pretty inconsistent. And recently, shout out Corey again, he's actually been pretty consistent. I can't talk no more. Guys, I really just want to say thank you for anybody who's tuning in through audio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, coming to the YouTube to see this video. I'm really grateful for just everything. I really want to take this platform and use it to not only change my life, but change other people's lives. Where when it's not a solo episode and I have an interview guest, I can allow them to tell their stories and allow people to learn things about them that they haven't been able to learn before. And this platform has allowed me to teach you guys things if you haven't known about me, things that I find important, things I like talking about, as well as things that I feel are important to talk about. And I know I've been gone for a really long time, and I want to thank you guys for sticking with me, the people that told me to keep recording. I want to see you record another episode. I'm waiting for another episode. I want to be on the pod. I really am so grateful for all the support and for all of you guys. And in terms of an explanation, in terms of why I haven't really posted a lot of pod content until since the beginning of the year, in a short, to not even ramble on, like life be life. Like there's a lot to where, especially in the past year, with a lot of the things that have been going on in my personal life, from losing family members to trying to graduate, just all the things that can really stack on to somebody, really stacked on at a certain point. Like from September of last year until around like early February, there's a lot going on to where it hit me all while I was going through it. But especially at the beginning of the year, I realized that a lot of the ways that I think, a lot of the things that are on my mind, a lot of the things that have affected me have really reshaped and revamped a lot of the ways I feel, a lot of things I think about. And it made it really difficult to not only have a passion to come back to the pod, but also to have the energy to really be in the right mind state. And when you combine that with, I had started a new job at the beginning of the year. I had a summer job, shout out the One Stop. It was my school's financial aid office and financial aid department. Really, it was working on the phone. I was like answering the phone and stuff. It was pretty cool. And I'm on pace to graduate as well, and we'll see how good or bad, unfortunately, God forbid, this video ages. But at the end of this year, if things go as well, I'll be done with all my credits. I should be walking the stage. And in preparation for that and just all these things going on, it derailed my time, and it didn't really allow me to be here with the pod as much as I would have liked. So I really thank you guys again, just one more time before we get into the topics for today. Just thank you so much for tuning in, staying with all the episodes, and I am so grateful for you guys. And really quick, actually, I usually, to be honest, I would either not do this or edit it out, but just because it's the first episode in a while, just want to make sure we're recording. I'm a little paranoid. I'm going to check twice, but make sure I'm recording for y'all, and y'all would hear all this. I just want to make sure everything's recording, and we got a low battery, so I'm going to try to make sure I get y'all out of here quick enough to make sure I actually get the whole episode. But I really want to thank you guys again for sticking with me, and I want to look back, whether it's this episode or an episode at my home. If you guys can notice, I'm in a different setting. I'm in one of the classrooms in one of my school buildings that has like good sound blocking. So hopefully it sounds good. And whether I'm recording here or whether I'm recording at home, I really want to use this platform, and I want to look back at this platform in 2 years, 5 years, however long it takes, and be proud of the audience and community we've built here. And I don't know when this will take off. I don't know how far it'll take off, but especially as I get closer to earning my journalism degree, I really have a passion for making sure I can have conversations with people and learn new things about them and allow them to tell me about themselves and really just make people's day to let them know, like, hey, not only is this conversation important to me, but I'm actually interested. I feel like, especially since the pandemic, communication has really taken a hit where it's harder to not only get your thoughts out, but find a community of people that will really listen to you. And I tell the origin story of this podcast to people and they always laugh. Like, it genuinely was due to the fact I would literally talk to myself. I'll talk to myself sometimes and I would laugh like, hey, if I'm gonna talk to myself, might as well record it, might as well have a podcast. And I really want to take the things I say and take this platform to a place that's unimaginable. And I feel we can do that, especially with you guys, especially listening and tuning in, because I've noticed, especially as podcasting is blowing up, a lot of people really gravitate to the authenticity of a podcaster, being able to let an audience know their genuine beliefs, let an audience know what they stand for, what they don't stand for, and be honest with the community. And especially having the aspirations of wanting to look back on this platform and grow it and hopefully achieve my dreams of being a big podcaster, big content creator. I want to look back and be proud on the audience I built, the topics I talked about, the person I grew to be. And I want to genuinely make a change and make an impact with the type of content I make, because to put it nicely, I feel there's a void in the content creator space, especially in the Black community, where there's not a lot of, I was supposed to be putting it nicely in this regard, there's not a lot of voices that really speak on the right things. And to put it less bluntly, to be less nice, there's not a lot of smart people talking about the right things. Like, there's not a lot of people I feel who speak intelligently about Black issues, hip hop, and I feel there's too much of a void to where when there's people in hip hop or people in the Black community who are detrimental to it, or big figures who may be speaking poorly, I feel it's important for someone like me to be in existence who's not only knowledgeable of these things and wants to talk about these things, but from a younger audience that can be aware of people in their 20s and also have the knowledge of older hip hop topics. Because there's people I look up to, like a FD Signifier or Screwface John, where they're older in the community, and Screw's a rapper, FD used to be a teacher, where they have the knowledge and they speak about, at least what I feel, are the right things, and the right Black messages and the right voices can really lead to a huge impact. And I really want to be someone that doesn't shy away from using my voice to talk about not only the things I like, but things I feel are important. And I want to use this as a video. If you didn't get it from my first pod, from my intro to my YouTube career, I want to make it very known that I'll be respectful, but I'm a very opinionated person, and I want to use this platform to show people how to pod and how to really use your voice for more. And when I really just get into my first topic for this episode, there's a lot that's been going on, especially since I've been away from the camera. But in recent news, if you haven't been aware, the NFL and the Super Bowl have announced that Bad Bunny will be the performing artist in 2026. And there are a few Bad Bunny songs I've listened to. I'm not really familiar with his catalog, but I'm personally a big fan of the move, because I looked at it and I compared it to when Kendrick just performed at the Super Bowl. And it bothered me to see a lot of people being xenophobic and saying that they don't want Bad Buddy at their Super Bowl. And honestly, before I keep going, there's a specific group of people who say these type of things. And to make it very known, I don't want those people. You know who you are. I don't want those people a fan of my platform. As I grow this platform and get an audience, I'll be more and more outspoken about those people, to put it that way, and really the things that are out of my control that impact this world. But for now, I'd word it and just say, because if you don't use your platform wisely, it's one thing. But if you say the wrong thing for a certain person or certain people, then you could suffer those consequences. And as a black male and as a podcaster, I know that that's going to be a risk anyway. But I hope you know what you guys. I hope you guys know what I'm saying when I specify certain things, and when I talk about those people who have these certain problems with representation and cultural celebration. It's really, those type of people make themselves really evident, and they usually have a set of beliefs that are for people who look like me anyway. And it bothers me when there were people who expressed issues with the Bad Bunny Super Bowl performance, because, as I mentioned earlier, I look at it in comparison to when Kendrick just performed. And as a black male, I was genuinely very happy to see Kendrick Lamar performing at the Super Bowl. Not only if you've been a fan of my content for a while, and if you know me as a person, I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan musically. I feel he won the battle with Drake. I feel he's moved in a way that's been very calculated and very smart since the battle, and he's allowed the music and his performance to speak for itself. And he used the Super Bowl as a way to kind of represent black people in a way that a lot of black people, especially myself, wanted to see represented. And it was dope for Jay-Z and NFL, for people to allow Kendrick to have that platform and allow a lot of black people to see someone like them have a stage like that. So when I have that belief, and then when I see a Bad Bunny perform at the Super Bowl, I know that the Spanish Latina community will feel hopefully very represented with that. And I am so proud that the NFL and Jay-Z, whoever makes that decision, is continuing to have that cultural crowd come in to the Super Bowl and have that audience, because I genuinely feel when you lean into culture and when you lean into your own cultural roots, you learn yourself in a way that allows you to really appreciate yourself. And when you see someone that represents you and represents the things you believe on a screen like the Super Bowl, like a big platform like that, it allows people to feel like they can do it too. Like, if I'm a artist like Bad Bunny that comes from that community, I could one day be on the big screen. And especially Bad Bunny. There were people who tried to criticize him and express like, oh, there's a lot of things going on with ICE and a lot of political things going on. And Bad Bunny, I think, had expressed like he's gonna not perform in America or tour in America to avoid there being problems for his fan base. And then he came out and performed at the Super Bowl, and I think he had a joke like, you know what, this one date I'm gonna allow. And some people had frustrations with it, understandably so, from the perspective of people saying like, it came off a bit hypocritical, but I feel that it is actually more poetic and could be more poetic and good for Bad Baby to take this opportunity to get his message and get his music out there for the Super Bowl, to where hopefully, I don't know, hopefully that didn't affect the shot too much. One of the lights just went off automatically in the room. But let me make sure I move to make sure these lights specifically won't go out. It'll be funny if it do. I usually, as an editor personally, I try to keep that type of stuff in as long as it's not too bad. Like I said, I believe in the more authentic feel. But To get back to the Bad Bunny discussion, shout out to the people watching on YouTube who saw that if it did affect anything. But I feel the Super Bowl would be a good opportunity for Bad Bunny to showcase his talents, and especially since he said, if I'm not mistaken, he's not gonna tour specifically. Even if he says he's not gonna perform and he does it at the one Super Bowl performance, I don't really feel it's beneficial to target and criticize Bad Bunny when we should really be either criticizing the people who are scaring people like Bad Bunny from performing in America, and we should realize that one performance isn't the same as a tour or as touring in America, and you can use that representation to hopefully bridge that gap more, to understand that there are some people out here who are for certain communities, who is for culture and allows culture and allows, whether it's Black culture, Latino culture, allowing it to have a platform and allowing there to be spaces for other cultures is a great thing, period. And I'll always be someone that speaks for that. And like I said, I don't gotta listen to a lot of Bad Bunny songs. I ain't gonna know what he talking about, what he's saying when he's performing, but I'm gonna be at the Super Bowl performing like, listen, I heard a rumor, and um, I was gonna talk about it when it first dropped. It's a bit dated now. Shout out Cardi B and her project Am I the Drama. Love the album. I heard a rumor that there might be a Bad Bunny remix with that song coming out. Listen, but that baddie, if she put him on that song and they perform it at the Super Bowl, I'm gonna be jamming. Listen, that's a hit. Regardless of what he's performing, what he's doing, I love it for Bad Bunny and his fan base and for that community. I hope, regardless of if there's another rumor that he's gonna do it all in Spanish. If he do, bravo, to be honest. Again, I won't understand it if he do that, but I feel it'd be a great fu to people, be a great fuck you to people who not only have criticized this for no reason and are just hating just because he's from a different place, but I feel it'd be good for him to show the audience that he hears his audience, that he's speaking to his audience, and people who are informed of their culture, who speak the language. There's a different type of intimacy when you can understand what he's saying and understand that he's representing us, not anyone else, but our people. So I think it's very cool. And if y'all saw my face, if you watching the video, I realized, like, why would I censor myself on my own podcast? So I really love the move for the Super Bowl again. And again, shout out Cardi B and Am I the Drama. There's been a lot of great music to be released this year, and I'm gonna touch on it a bit later on in the episode when I talk about the Grammys and who should win Rap Album of the Year. But there's been a lot in the hip hop world that, depending on what side you on and depending on what type of artist you listen to and the type of person you are, there's either a party dying. We're either, as Kendrick Lamar said, we're watching a party die, or there are people who feel hip hop is in a weird place right now. There are people like Drake, Aiden Ross, who I've called out in previous episodes and I've called out on various platforms, that would express that hip hop is in a bad place right now because they're on the bad, or if I feel, wrong side of it. And I'm someone who feel, depending on what side you're looking on, it's been green. And I'm looking at my notes to make sure I highlight everything I wanted to, because I really want to give a huge shout out to Kai Cenat. Hopefully he's resting well. Hopefully he's taking a good break over there while he's chilling. But if you aren't aware, recently, in around like the past month or so, he performed on stream with his Mafia-thon. And he had people like LeBron James on there. He had LeBron at the end cutting his hair. And previously, I thought that it was a bit unfair for a lot of the criticism Kai would receive as a streamer, because people would try to consider him the face of hip hop. the face of internet hip hop. I know, I think, shout out the Joe Budden podcast and shout out Joe. He had revealed, or they had talked about a while ago, a list they were on of like the top hip hop internet personalities. And I think Joe was at like 3 behind, I think he was behind DJ Akadidi and Kai, Kai being at 1. And at first, I felt that was a bit unfair to put on Kai because I don't think Kai really asked for that. He'd collaborate with a lot of streamers and he'd have a lot of, he'd have a lot of rappers on his stream, and he would allow those rappers to have a platform. But I don't think Kai ever expressed or wanted that he wanted to be this hip hop connoisseur. But people put that on him anyway, and he used Mafiathon 3 to put a lot of rappers and hip hop artists on his platform. And I feel that is good to not only highlight for this episode, but it helps the overall topic I want to talk about for this episode. Just the importance of Black excellence and how it's important to understand what I mean by that when I say that, because sometimes that can be used as if in elitist ways, but I feel it's important and great to highlight when Black people are successful. And to see Kai reach the heights that he was, it's one thing to see Kai get to those levels, but to see that he used his platform to put people on, and he's always used his platform, in my opinion, to put a lot of people on and to put a lot of rappers on, I feel it's important to highlight how not only it's good to point that out, but how there's an unfortunate price to that. Whether it be Black excellence, Black intellectualism, there's for some reason a target on that to where if you're smart, there's a specific place you should be, or if you're deemed smart, you shouldn't talk to certain people. You shouldn't be in spaces with certain people. You shouldn't be in spaces with certain Black people if you're a certain type of way. And I feel spewing that rhetoric out is very problematic. And while everyone won't mesh with everybody, it's very divisive to be a Black person and to spread us farther as Black people, to where it's very easy to talk down on Blackness and to say that you don't align with certain things. But as I've gotten older with my beliefs, I feel that whether it's the ghetto Black man, the intellectual Black man, whether it's me or somebody else next to me that may not have had the same privileges or opportunities as I had, I feel it's important to look at that other Black person and to bring them in and to look at us as a community and to not be judgeful just because someone doesn't present themselves in a certain way. Just because I present myself in a turtleneck, a polo turtleneck, or a shirt and tie doesn't make me better than someone who dresses with a backwards hat on. I feel what differentiates someone like me and someone like another person in that example is just the type of beliefs we have, the type of things we speak for, what we stand up for as a Black person. And to use my platform to highlight Blackness and to give a spotlight on Blackness, that is what I want to do. And that is what I feel is important. And that is why I feel it's important to shout out someone like a Kai Cenat, because he would have used his platform to put on someone like a Monaleo. Monaleo is someone, I know some people say Monaleo, Leo, I think it's Monaleo, but he had her on his platform, and I feel Monaleo is someone who, man, she's been on a tear this year. She's been on a run for a minute. I'm someone who got hip with Beating Down Your Block, but I'm sure there have been a lot of people who were fans before her since that. And since that song, she has been on a run. And I feel like a lot of the music she's put out this year is, I didn't know the 2026 Grammys had a specific cutoff. I thought it was just the end of, or I thought it was the end of 24 and then the end of 25, like December 2024 to December 2025. I thought that's how the eligibility worked. And as y'all see, lights went up. So hopefully if I move, this will start back up. I have no idea why this, the motion don't feel me in here, but Back running. I think we're good. So I can use this as a good time to check and see how long we've been going. We've been going for just under 30 minutes here, so I appreciate, hopefully it hasn't been too much of a problem to have the room go out and stuff like that. But I feel it's important to highlight an artist like a Monaleo because this year she's put out a lot of music that has been very pro-black and very pro-black woman especially. And I love seeing black women thrive in the fields they are, especially when it's rap and hip hop is supposed to be deemed a male dominated field, where I feel Monaleo is one of the best artists out, just period. Her single Sexy Salon, where she literally talks about being a sexy Salon, Black American princess. Like, to open up a song like that and to have that song go through things of talking about sleeping with fish and sweeping under the broom and all, like, not putting your purse on the ground. How she said, you never supposed to put your purse on the ground, but I'm slamming this going purse on the concrete. Bow. All the 9 blacks to the back. Hold on. Hey, all the 9 blacks to the back. Like, I feel that message, especially all the 9 blacks to the back. Like, I feel that type of rhetoric is very important to champion blackness and to champion that it is important to love who you are and love your skin and love the melanin that you have and love being black. And I'm gonna just say that again. The best way to be black and the only proper way to be black is to love being black. The best way to be black is to love being black. And when an artist like Monaleo puts out songs and music videos like that, where she shows black flags, where she has her hair braided, where she has a lot of black people in and black women in her videos, I feel there's a lot of significance in that, where it showcases similar when I talk about Bad Bunny and how I love how he's performing at the Super Bowl. It's important for young black girls, young black women, even black men who can open their ears and eyes to someone like a Monaleo and listening to her type of music. It allows, I feel, a lot of black people to feel seen and to hear the message that it's okay to be black. I feel like in a lot of areas and in a lot of fan bases and a lot of ways of life, you would sometimes get told or get fed certain information that would make you feel like black is bad. And especially when navigating certain spaces like PWIs or just being in America in general, sometimes you may encounter certain instances where you may feel like, oh, should I hide this part of me? Should I hide this part of my blackness? I remember there's a story where I would walk down, I had a do-rag on, and I walked past these group of white boys, these group of white gentlemen, and they all stared at me from when I walked out of my room to when I walked past them to when I went over the hallway. Just because, and they were staring at my head, to where it makes me on one end feel like, y'all niggas never seen a do-rag before? To where on the other end, it makes me even hyper focus on how I'm the only black man in certain classrooms. But I think back to how, wait, I may be the only black man in these classrooms, but I'm here. I'm sitting next to these people. I'm having the opportunity to have the same education, and I want to use this platform, and like I've said throughout this episode, to get through the message that being black is beautiful. And you can do it, whether you come from college, whether you done got almost a college degree like me, or whether you're getting it in your own way. I feel it's important for me and anyone else to tell you that you are gonna make it. You are gonna get through it, and it is possible. And someone like a Monaleo is an artist where I feel she speaks that rhetoric beautifully, to where she even has a song on her latest album called Dignified, where she goes over this story of how, depending on the mistakes you can make, that can end up ending your life and being your life and being what represents you if you don't make the right choices. To where she told this story about being able to party with her friends, being able to celebrate and be this black artist. But there was a moment where she drunk too much at the club and she crashed. And in the story, she's saying that could be someone, and that person could have been her and it could have passed away. But it's important, she even says in the song, to put the drink down. I'm not trying to be a party pooper. Make sure you get home safe. Like, to get that message in your rap while as she sings in the song, she shows her vocals, she shows her rapping ability. She tells a story that not only shows how impressive her rapping ability is, but it sits with you to be like, damn, maybe I shouldn't drink and drive. Maybe let me make sure that I keep that in mind when I'm going out. And she has another track on there talking about the dynamic of wanting to help family, wanting to help her brother, and being a role model and allowing their sibling to know that it's important and you gotta go work for your own money. But she also says in that same song, like, dang, I wanna spoil them though. Like, to have that dynamic of understanding being the breadwinner for your family in the black community and understanding that responsibility of knowing that I have this money, I have this privilege, I can change their lives, but how much do I put in to invest in them to know that they can do it on their own? Do I take care of their lives and make sure that they don't struggle like I did? And if so, how much? I feel that type of topic, especially in the black community, doesn't really get highlighted a lot, because when there's someone holding all that weight and taking care of a whole family on your own and taking care of a community on your own, whether black, whether male, female, anything, it really shows, and it could potentially show that you never know just how much someone could be dealing with and going through, as well as not knowing when that person can reach their breaking point. And really, I don't know if you guys heard that I had a lot of shenanigans came in, but my girlfriend, shout out Wanda, shout out my girlfriend, she just came in the room. She over here standing like NPC over here. But she's so sweet. You want to come in? You want to say hi while I'm recording? I'm gonna keep this in, so if you are, I'm gonna keep it in. Say hi.
Hi, you guys. I don't know if I'm in frame, but hi.
Interview with this pretty girl coming soon. Don't worry. You want to shout yourself out since you're here?
Shout out me.
Matter of fact,
Wanda.
take a seat. Shout yourself out.
Okay. Hopefully I'm not too tall. Am I good?
You're good. You're good. I'm gonna get you.
And let me make sure my headphones didn't connect to your phone, because I heard the connection sound. Okay, your headphones.
I think the Bluetooth may be off, but
Okay, you're smart.
I turned on airplane mode and I turned on the Wi-Fi back on.
Hi,
But
you guys. Shout out me. Follow me on Instagram, BB Wanda. Twitter, BLU3J letter number 8. Oh my god. Keep this in. But shout out me. Shout out my boyfriend for keeping this clip in. I love him. I don't know if you guys saw his hair. I did it. And this makeup, I did it. And that's it. But I hope you guys are all doing well, and I hope our host this evening has had a lot of great questions that makes you wonder what's on your mind.
she is so beautiful, ain't she? And I'm just so grateful to not only have this platform, but have somebody like her who allows me to not only be myself, but to support me in the things that I do. So thank you so much for checking
This
on me.
color look good on you.
You're welcome, girl. Hold on, we got to be appropriate for the family. We actually don't. We can do whatever we want to do. But hey, wait a minute. I ain't giving no free shows. No, wait a minute. But to get back to our main topic on, if you've been a video watcher, this has been a very interesting video for you. For context for you, Wanda, I already told them, but the motion lights went out and stuff while I was in here and stuff. And she over here, listen, shout out everybody in a relationship, and shout out everybody with a partner and a woman like Wanda, because she over here being very inappropriate on the other side of this camera. So I'm trying to get this episode finished for y'all, but she over here being very naughty on the other side of this camera. Listen, and I ain't gonna lie, I'm gonna get these topics out, but I'm gonna hurry up and end this podcast so I can get to that beautiful lady. But where was I? Hopefully, I actually remember the topic that I was on earlier as I was recording, as she gets that loud noise into my audio. I really feel it's important to, like I mentioned earlier, talk about these things where it's important to highlight just how good it is to be Black and how good it is to have people out there who talk about these messages. And when there's an artist like Monaleo who can go through these topics one by one in her album to where she can show cultural significance, she can show significance for the South. On the last song with the remix of We On That, she showed a lot of love to the South. I feel there's a lot of things she did with her project, Who Did the Body, and I feel a lot of you guys should go check it out. A lot of you guys should go check out her music, and especially when there's a prominent Black figure who understands the importance of their audience and the importance of the messages that they put out. I'm even someone who gives people the grace to say that, especially rappers, they're not role models, so you shouldn't look at them as such. You shouldn't put the responsibility on a rapper to teach your kid and to make sure that they talk about the right morals and they talk about the things. They're grown just like any other grown person. They have the liberty to talk about what they want to talk about in their music. However, when an artist knows that and still goes the extra mile to make sure that their message is not only good and not only substantial and a lot of content in their message, but when Monaleo takes the next step to have a lot of pro-Blackness in her music and to understand that there's gonna be people who don't like that but still talk about it anyway, I feel it's awesome. I feel it's beautiful. And to transition onto that, I wanna make sure that I wanna continue to stay in music, because similar to Monaleo, and shout out Imani, Imani Staley, shout out. She also somebody who should be making a lot of content. I hope you get back to your content soon. I spoke with her and my girlfriend on how much I would love a Monaleo and Megan Thee Stallion collab, because I feel Megan Thee Stallion is another artist who has been very vocal on the importance of loving your Blackness and loving yourself as a woman and as a person, and I feel those messages are great to put out there. And she recently put out a track, Lover Girl, as she's recently been in a relationship and she's made her relationship public with NBA player Klay Thompson. I feel it's important to highlight songs like that and shout out songs like that, because there's a lot of imagery that doesn't really highlight Black love, and I feel it's great to showcase Black love in a sense of, especially Megan Thee Stallion. She's been someone who's just genuinely been through a lot in the public eye. She's been at the top of the world while also having to feel at the bottom of her emotions, with feeling like she's lost everyone, losing people like her mother, her grandmother, getting into situations with Tory Lanez, to where not only she would get shot, as I would be someone who I don't feel someone would lie about get shot and not only get a bullet in you, but not have the world believe you, to deal with all of that for these constant years and still be at the top of her game, to still put out music and to still have her message be to love your man, to love yourself. I feel those are the type of artists and type of messages that should be at the forefront and should get the highlights that they do, because there's a lot people go through in their everyday lives, and music can be something that could really lift someone's mood. It can really get someone out of bed. It can change their day. So to be able to look at an artist like Megan Thee Stallion and not only see someone who looks like you, as I've been talking about through this whole episode, people like a Bad Bunny, when they get to see at the Super Bowl, people represent them, and we get people like a Monaleo for our community. And now when we get to the topics like these, it makes it really important to have that blackness at the forefront and have it be celebrated. And there's another artist I'd want to highlight as I get through this episode. There's an artist and YouTube creator by the name of Screwface John, where similarly to Monaleo, I feel this entire year he's made it known and made it his job to be vocal for the black community and be vocal for actual free speech and to be mindful for the things of this world and to understand that there are things and people who have a voice that are spewing information and doing things that are problematic for the black community, even when they are black. There's been people like you guys heard me call him Acadiddy, DJ Academics, where for context, DJ Academics is a streamer and he is someone who got famous and popularized his content from going over the war on Chirac and being someone who talked about the gang violence in Chicago and made a profit off of it. And I've talked about Academics on my platform before. And ever since he used Chicago's pain and Chicago's suffering to get on, he's then used his platform to talk about hip hop and deliver news and journalism. And there was a situation where he was speaking very inappropriately and very sexually to a minor, a young male. And during that moment, during these moments, he would say things like, he offered the young man to have sex with older women, sex with guys, and the young man had to be someone to talk about how, like, I'm uncomfortable, like, I wouldn't do that, I'm 15. Like, it was very weird. Do more research on it if you must. And Academics lost even his Twitch after that situation like that. And Screw has been someone throughout this entire year to talk about how we need to protect our young black boys. We need to protect our young children because whether it's a boy or a girl, they both could be at risk to predators. And especially in the black community, I feel there is a lot of that pushed under the rug where we need to protect our black children because it's very easy to put them in the hands of somebody that may not care for your child as much as you may. And God forbid that was someone that I know or my kid when I have kids speaking to a grown adult sexually and talking to them inappropriate when they're supposed to be on the game or making a young career for themselves because the young kid was a mod and I don't think the kid was black, but they were a moderator for if I'm not mistaken, Playboy Max's stream. And Screw has a track called Acadiddy. He coined the phrase where he talks about how it's important we can't sexualize a child. Someone like Academics has poisoned the black community in a way to where he can maintain a toxic corner in the internet and spew these things, but it's important to highlight how blackness and speaking against these things is what's right to do. And especially as I sort of mentioned earlier, when you talk about certain things, your voice can really get shunned. And whether you're speaking on things like this, whether you have a podcast, however you want to get your information out there, it's important to understand what side of the sand you stand on to where I can comfortably say I'm not a DJ Academics fan, not because of the individual who I've met in real life, but especially because of the things they stand for. And I don't know, I know y'all probably heard her sniffling. She was on the other side of the camera, but I don't know if she's going, are you going bye-bye or are you coming back?
I'm coming back. I'm gonna get tissue.
Okay, she's gonna go clear her nose, so y'all may see her again, or y'all may hear her come in and out. So it's very important for someone like a Screwface John to exist because Academics exist. And whether you're you might be a Marvel fan, there is importance, there's balance that should be in the world as it should be. But if you can't tell, I just watched Infinity War Endgame. But as much balance as there should be to where there are people who maybe feel like Academics is important, someone like a Screw speaking against those things and speaking against people like a Drake, like a Academics, like a Aiden Ross, there's only so many voices that could be heard. And when you have voices that are speaking against hip hop, not only is that a target against the black community, when you have someone like Drake, academics, Aiden, who have called our women out of their name, spoken against black women, constantly made brands on being red pill and speaking poorly on women. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not speaking to be a perfect person. But when you have someone like those people who would go as far as to call Doechii called, I mean, Aiden called Doechii a black B word just for celebrating her music and just for being somebody who she is. Drake has been someone who is, I shouldn't have to go down the catalog of things of Drake has had a lot of just odd behavior, and academics has been someone who has been seen putting his hands on women, speaking against women. And when you have someone like a Screwface John who makes it his passion and his notice to speak against something like that and to talk about how true freedom of speech is allowing black artists to speak their truth, whether it's allowing black people and black artists to maintain its credibility and not be able to be censored or restrained just because someone doesn't like what was said in a rap battle. I feel all of these messages are important to where even if you don't know any of Screwface John's music, whether you don't know any of his videos, I feel you can find an appreciation in the messages that he speaks upon because it's really, I would deem it as uplifting for the black community and black culture. And as I go through my list here of things that I got noted down in my notes, I really want to bring this full circle and once again highlight and shout out the Joe Budden podcast because there's a situation, if you are familiar with the Joe Budden podcast, there's a whole cast of hosts, and there's the host Joe Budden, and he has host on there Mona from Don't Call Me White Girl. He has Ish on there. He has Officially Ice on there. He has Queen's Flip on there. Check out all these creators individually. They're amazing. And he also has Dr. Mark Lamont Hill on the podcast. If you may or may not be aware, Dr. Mark Lamont Hill is someone who's been featured on CNN, MSNBC. He's a figure in the black community that has been someone to speak very highly on black people and to defend black issues. He hasn't been afraid to be very pro-Palestinian, and he makes sure to, just in my opinion, speak on the right things and speak for the people, speak for the underdog, speak for the minority, speak for the people who are taken advantage of. And no matter what, he's unapologetically himself, and he unapologetically stands up for the black community and people who are, like I mentioned, who may suffer hardship, struggles, anything of that sort. And Mark is deemed as an intellectual in the black community and the black spaces. And for some reason, there's this notion put on him by a lot of fans and people who tune into the JBP, and whether it's actually watch the show, because some people don't actually watch the show, some people just watch clips, they try to spew this very nasty rhetoric that he's too smart for the show, that he shouldn't be on the JBP. There's a situation to where he was called out or just spoken to by people like the Native Land podcast under Charlemagne, and they have since apologized to Queen's Flip, so I'm not gonna be someone to come for their neck, especially the situation is past. But for the more prevalent topic, there was a situation where Dr. Mark Lamont Hill got in an argument with the co-host Queen's Flip on the show, and it was deemed that Mark was speaking to somebody lower than him. That he, just because he's a doctor and just because the other person doesn't come from that same background, he should remember who he is. He shouldn't be arguing or shouldn't be around those type of people. And especially when those are other black men, I feel that's a very nasty message to spew out because, as I mentioned earlier, whether it's a Dr. Mark Lamont Hill or a journalist Anthony Brinson or Queen's Flip or anybody of the sorts, it doesn't make Mark better because he's a doctor. It doesn't make him better than that cast. And it's important for him to be around those group of black men because not only can you uplift and teach those same black men what it means to be an intellectual, and you could teach those black men something. Mark can learn something from the JBP, and he can learn from those other aspects of the world that he may not have experienced in his own right. And Mark is a black man from Philly. Like, he is in the right place. He is in the right spot around a bunch of New York dudes who've experienced other parts of life, because there's so much you can learn from being around people who are not only from different areas but experience different things. And whether you went to school for 100 years or not, intelligence is showcased and can be showcased in a lot of ways, where you can be book smart, you can be street smart, you can be someone who understands the experiences they've been through and knows how to teach others not to go through the same hardships, how to put others on and allow them to reach the same heights as they did. That is what I feel is intelligent, and being able to use your platform and the things you say to help other people. And especially, just now that I think about it, when it comes to smart intelligence, me personally as an individual, I don't deem intelligence and smarts just as, oh, you got all A's in your college or school career, or you know more about, I'm a journalism major, I'm an education minor, I know more about journalism and education than you, so I'm smarter than you. I don't think that's how that works at all. I think it's important to understand that a lot of people go through different things and learn a lot of different things from the things they've been through. And being smart is being able to showcase the things you've learned and being able to help other people. And you can be smart and intelligent without a college degree. You can be smart and intelligent without going to be a doctor, because the things you've been through and the things you've experienced, no one understands them better than you. And those things that you've been through, you can use those things and those experiences to teach another person and to showcase just what it means to get through hardship and what it means to understand why a certain book is important. And especially when you go through all these topics and when you listen to somebody like me, when you go through all these walks of life, who's to say that I know more than the person listening? Who's to say the person listening knows more than me? I feel it's more important to bridge that gap and bring both people together to know that we both can benefit from one another. You never know what you can learn from another person until you give that person an ear and until you give that person a chance to tell their story. And with all of that being said, I know depending on the type of listener you are, some people prefer long content, some people prefer short. I'm really grateful for how long you guys have tuned into this episode, if you've made it this far. And I want to end this conversation around music and more lightheartedly, because depending on if you care or not, the Grammys are coming up very, very soon. And I'm someone who's a very big hip hop head, who's a very, very big rap fan. And I'm not the most knowledgeable. I'm only 22. I still go back and listen to older music to make sure I'm more knowledgeable. But there's been a lot of good music from the end of 2024 to now. There's been so many great artists, so much great music. And there's been a lot of talk on who should win Album of the Year. And I feel as though there are a lot of good albums that are going to be up for consideration. I definitely want to shout out people like The Clips, or Clips, depending on who you ask, where they put out a project called The Birds Don't Sing. And Clips is a rap duo between Pusha T and his brother Malice. And they go through that project talking about, they open the project talking about how they lost both their parents, how one of the brothers even found both of the parents in both instances when they both passed away. And the title track is called The Birds Don't Sing, and they have John Legend featured on the track, where it really brings you into their world in a way that a lot of artists don't really need to be vulnerable in that way. But when artists still take that opportunity to do it, it hits even more, to where artists, they don't need to bring us into their lives. Clips didn't need to let us know why they haven't made music together, why they've gotten back to make music together, what's been going on. But for them to be that vulnerable and talk about how they've lost both of their parents and use that to amplify the strength of their album, I feel is very phenomenal. I know in recent news, for some reason, people love to bring up old things and sometimes those old things are pretty bad, but I feel it's important to allow people room to grow. I say that because I'm talking about one of my favorite artists, in Tyler the Creator, where he dropped a project. He dropped a project this year too, Don't Top That Glass, where it's a really, really good project. Last year in 24, I think it'll be eligible depending on when he dropped it. He dropped Chromacopia, a project where, similar from Flower Boy on, he's allowed himself to grow and let his audience in on whether it be relationship issues he's dealt with, uh, learning why the things he would say before Flower Boy would be problematic, and Chromacopia featuring artists like Glorilla, featuring songs on there that he goes on to fully say, like, hey, I'm a fake ass bitch, don't kill me. Like, I'm gonna be someone to have an opinion that I maybe talked about years ago, and I may change my opinion. Crazy. Like, I feel Tyler the Creator is someone who, honestly, if you really listen, he talks about in the ways of which he's flawed, and he's very open on his taste in terms of he has bars where he talks about he has some Cold Dillons and some Dylan Sprouses. He have some Snowfall on the side. Shout out Damson Idris. Just watch Snowfall, by the way. I almost made that a segment, but since it's an older show, I feel like I didn't need to do it. But phenomenal show, I just finished it. But whether he had him some Snowfall, Tyler have him some Snowfall on the side, or he talks about the big cars he's coming in. I feel recent Tyler, has been someone that makes a lot of music for Black people, and he goes on his platforms now to talk about how it's important to understand hip hop's roots, how he had messaging on how there are white artists who emulate Black art and don't really give Black artists props, or don't give that Black artist his props. And I feel recently Tyler the Creator has put out a lot of music that the Black community can really attach to and understand. And projects like Chromacopia are a phenomenal instance of showcasing that talent and understanding that there's multiple ways to get your message across. You can have an album like The Birds Don't Sing, and have an album like Chromacopia that really takes two different sides of that spectrum, but really gets that message across that hip hop is Blackness. Black culture is very multifaceted, and there are many topics and ways hip hop can be used to tell a story. There's albums like Chance the Rapper, where he dropped his recent project Starline, how he goes about talking about how marijuana is just a tree, how marijuana can be more therapeutic and help the Black community, and it shouldn't be as policed and targeted as it is, and how it's important to highlight the Black church and be grateful for Jesus Christ, but also call out the Black church for the ways that they haven't been so welcoming to other Black people, how they've may have spewed rhetoric that haven't been as welcoming as people may have had. When you go through topics like that on an album, it really, for me as a listener, shows just how much that person thinks about what it means to be Black, and what it means to really get that message out there of Blackness comes in many ways, and the things that make us Black people shouldn't be policed, and it should be talked about more. And Chance also had an interview with Joe Budden that I'd recommend checking out, where he goes through this project and really talks about why he made the songs he did, why he talks about the things he does. And as much as I love those projects, as much as I love Chromacopia, as much as I love Starline, as much as I love The Birds Don't Sing, I talked about it earlier. If you know me in real life, if you're the person that's on the other side of this camera, my girlfriend, you guys know I'm a big Kendrick Lamar fan. GNX, I'm unsure if I've talked about it publicly, but GNX dropped at a time for me where, as I mentioned earlier, to make you guys understand, a lot of the reason why there's been such a gap in the episodes of between when I recorded then and now, a lot of it has been from, like I mentioned, ever since last really September until February of this year, there's been a lot going on, and GNX dropped right around that time for me. to be more direct as I've talked about it. Been on social media. I'm a bit of a private person. I don't like talking about a lot of things on the internet or just to a lot of people because you just gotta be mindful where you put your energy. But I checked the date and I think GNX dropped exactly a week before my grandmother passed. And at that time of GNX dropping, there was a lot of issues going on with my grandmother in the hospital, alongside a lot of, as I mentioned a bit earlier, a lot of other issues I was going through. And people talk about, especially older people, sometimes talk about where they was when certain music dropped. And I can remember being in my apartment before my girlfriend lived with me, before I knew my grandmother on my dad's side would uh, be passing. It dropped in a moment where I really needed not only to just to be uplifted, but the things Kendrick Lamar talked about on that project really stood out to me, to where he could open the album talking about just getting rid of people out of his circle or saying fuck people from fuck everybody that's on my body. Just being able to open your album talking about how if you're not for me, if you're not supporting me, if you're not benefiting me, fuck you and get out of my life. The moment that album dropped was the exact moment I finally understood that as a person, because I'm someone who admittedly loves to make new relationships, loves having a lot of friends and big community. And I had to learn the hard way that, just as I mentioned, it's important where you put your energy and where you don't put your energy. And to have Kendrick Lamar open the album like that and go about the topics he did on that project, as well as have fun on that project, to really make the music he did and stand up for the West Coast in the way that he did. I feel GNX is a beautiful project that if you put gun to the back of my head, that is what my pick would be for album of the year for the Grammys in 2026. But as I wanted to make sure I highlighted before talking about GNX, The Birds Don't Sing is a phenomenal project. Starline is a phenomenal project. Chromacopia is a phenomenal project. And I know sometimes people use these certain words over exaggerate or to over exaggerate, but I literally have a GNX vinyl. I love every song on the Birds Don't Sing. I love every song on Chromacopia. I love a lot of the songs on Starline. These albums are really, really good projects, and for the type of person that I've grown to be at this moment and the type of beliefs that I've grown to have, those have been really, really important projects that not only highlight blackness, but highlight how important it is to be vulnerable and to own the things of yourself. Whether it be owning the fact that in the Clipses world, their life is completely different without their parents now. In Kendrick's stance, to understand that he's even higher at the top than what he is, and even where he is and how high he is at the top, there are still gonna be people who judge. People like a Doechii, who has been an amazing prominent figure for black women and black dark-skinned women. To have all this type of music get out, to have all these artists get out, and to have these people out there, whether it's a Screwface Jean, Monaleo, I hope what you take away from this episode is not only is it amazing to be black, it's amazing to talk about it. And just as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, it's been a while since I've put a pod out, and I'm just another black voice at the end of the day. But I want my black voice to be something that allows blackness to be championed and allows people's stories to be championed. Because when I bring people on this platform and interview them, I want people to understand that it's okay to bring the experiences that you bring with you. It's okay to sit down and get in front of a camera and talk about the things you believe in and the things you've been through, because your story is important. And I'll put the disclaimer out, especially in interviews. I won't be accountable for what people say. I don't know what people are gonna say. And if there's anything spoken on this platform that is not of appropriateness, it will always be handled into that account. But I always want to have this platform to be a space to talk about whatever's on my mind, whatever's on other people's minds, and just what's going on in the world. So I'm really grateful for the audience that tunes into this episode, that allows me to have this return, and hopefully I'm gonna make sure I'm more consistent in my uploads. And I wanna end this episode before I let you guys go. If you're an NBA fan, Victor Wembanyama and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm gonna just leave it there. They're different. Wemby's the future. Giannis, I don't understand why people are just forgetting who he is and not understanding. Just because we're getting used to it. Giannis putting up 35 and 12. Vic putting up 34 and 14 in his second and third. We shouldn't get used to this. It's amazing. Sports, I feel sports, hip hop, NBA, NFL, and hip hop is in a very good space right now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the leagues that is out of my expertise that I hope gets handled. But whether it's the NBA, NFL, hip hop culture, if you've listened to me talk about it, thank you so much. And whenever you get a chance, don't be afraid to tell me what's on your mind. Thank you, and hope you guys tune in next time.